Hey guys, how are you all, and welcome to another video where today I'm bringing you the Mars retrograde, which is happening on the 30th of October, and it's going to be at 25 degrees. It turns direct. Mars turns direct the 12th of January 2022 in Gemini. And then the post-retrograde period lasts until March the 15th, 2023 at 25 degrees of Gemini. So all of the mutable signs are going to be feeling this. It's actually a great idea, guys, to check where the mutables like are in your natal house chart. So Virgo, Pisces, Gemini, and Sagittarius, you're all going to feel this. So when you go to like your natal chart, it's really best to check where all of these are going to be, because it's going to hit all of them. But regardless, all of the mutable signs are really going to be feeling this. Okay. So yes, it's a big one, because Mars is going to be in Gemini for like 7 months, a long time. The last time, guys, that Mars was in Gemini, especially retrograde, it was in December, not December, it was in August 2007, and then it went into Cancer in September, then it went retrograde December the 31st, 2007, and then it went into Cancer again in March 2008. And after, yeah, and that's what happened. So that was the last time. And we can remember what the last time is, especially for the generation that, like the Pluto in Libra generation, who they came of age in the 90s, but they also were going through like this third house action in terms of them like pioneering social media through like MySpace and YouTube and all the other, and Spotify. That generation actually started they pioneered the whole social media generation, especially the 70s kids. But even like the 80s kids, they benefited because they'll do lots of blogging and, again, I know I'm going off on one, but I will be doing a full podcast on this generation, guys. I haven't forgot. This generation is a very powerful generation. Not being biased, but it really is. But yes, so this generation, they came up on age in the 2000s. They're in their 20s. And even people that were born in was it Gen X, the 60s and 70s kids. You guys obviously remember this as well, but it's a big thing because we had a recession that time, guys, big recession. So yeah, you may be able to see similar themes that come up. You may be able to, but yeah, it's a big one. So this Mars in Gemini is, it's going to be a major one because, Gemini, it rules like, how we generally communicate, general communication. And obviously amongst other things as well. But it's going to be a big time where we can see, in terms of how we're communicating with people, especially through the media, social media, and this is gonna be showing us as a time to like reassess in how we're doing things, because there can be some like meltdowns. There can be, anything that we have hidden is going to be coming up, and obviously and also I see it mostly as things that we need to say when it goes retrograde. It's about, some of us may go within, but some of us may actually say it. Like, I've been meaning to say this, but now I'm actually going to be saying it. It's a time that it's a great time to really try and find a way to assert yourself. Maybe, yes, definitely like in a positive way, and it's definitely through, you can do it through social media, or you can do it privately through like journaling, writing your thoughts. And it does depend on where Gemini is in your house chart as well. I have done a full video on this with Mars being in Gemini, tarot for all the signs. And what also can happen with this is that, because with me, as you guys know, whenever I talk about like the planets and the transits and everything, I do it in the way that I understand. I do it in a way that is that, I understand. So hopefully other people understand. Guys, I love the tarot as well. So the tarot really does speak to me. And also, as you guys know also, that I love speaking about the planets, because I feel the planets are so important. They're so, it really does show us where we can go, where like the signs can go, what can be happening in the future. But obviously a lot of this is to do with free will as well. And I feel that with Mars being in Gemini, a lot of our thoughts and feelings, especially in how we are thinking, is definitely to do free will. So regardless of what happens during Mars retrograding, even though I'm saying this is what's going to happen, this is what's going to happen, this what could happen, a lot of it is to do with how we are projecting, and a lot of it is to do with free will as well. You don't necessarily have to, do the way that I or anyone else is saying you should do. It's just how you're thinking at the time. And sometimes you just happen to go, when it goes retrograde, like in your 12th house, you just happen to need to calm your mind down. You need to just go within. You need to relax. You don't really have to listen to what I'm saying or anyone else is saying. It's just going to be like a thought of, actually, I just need peace and quiet now. So yeah, so with Mars and the planets, they are going to meet up. They're going to be squaring Neptune in Pisces. We've had it before. I think it happened early in October. It's also going to happen again in 19th of November. And it's not an easy transit, guys. I mean, I felt it was not easy. It was very, it can make you feel and think in a way that is not grounding. You could overthink. There could be a lot of like hypochondriatic behavior, paranoia, thinking things that are not real. Sometimes it is real, but then something else comes along. You could feel that you want to say something. After, when it's time to say it, you don't actually say it. You could feel very fiery in the moment, but then you actually think, you know what? It's not actually the truth, because, whenever these signs get together, things just get a little bit scary and crazy. And yeah, there can be lots of like clashes within your mind, body and soul, and it can be very confusing. But obviously when that does happen, you can also, do something to help raise your vibrations. Like if you're feeling anxious, because you can feel anxious when they clash together, like you can do something very creative, reading, writing, watching TV. You also can feel that you want to escape. But if you're raising it as well, it's great to be working out, swimming, or doing something that is going to be smoothing your soul. So there's, even if it is like a crazy square, you're going to clash, there's something we can do to lower things. Remember, we're dealing with the mind here. On the 28th, it does trine Saturn, which can actually help stabilize our energy, because Mars is about drive and how we go after what we want. And Mars is, obviously with Mars, there's a high and a low. It's really great for entrepreneurial spirit, going for what you want, starting something new. But you know, we can also try to control things and belittle people, bully people, especially with it being in Gemini. This can make it even more prevalent because with Mars being in Gemini, it makes the drive is to, you know, push our views. The drive is to, you could like play mind games with people. You could backstab, talk about people, and all types of things. So yeah, when it does trine Saturn, it actually helps stabilize it. It can make us stop and think before we act. It's also great for us, you know, with Saturn being in Gemini, you know, if we need to start anything or even continue anything, it would give us that sort of like stabilizing energy, which will help create like solid foundations for us in the future. Okay, and yeah, and also if even if you like starting like a workout regime, because Mars does rule like the physical body, it can also help us, give us that not only just consistency, but also the stamina that a lot of us will be needing. I forgot to say Mars also rules inflammation as well. So we could also, a lot of us, depending where it is in your chart, again, it can inflame certain parts of our bodies as well as our minds as well. So, but still, again, it is great. But, you know, I feel that with this, in terms of like physical, if we're doing anything physical, we may, especially Saturn, it trining Saturn, we may want to go back to the drawing board. Like if we started doing, I don't know, for instance, meditation and yoga in the morning, but now we're starting to do high intensity and, you know, walking meditation, which some of us may be happy to do. It actually probably does work for us. When it goes retrograde, it might inflame things. So you might think, actually, I want to go back to doing something that helps smooth my body. Gemini is a mutable sign, so we're going to be needing that high and low. You can do one day, things the other day. But regardless, Mars is, when it goes retrograde, it is a time for us to like sort of not necessarily not say anything, but just draw back a bit, go back to the drawing board, especially when on the 28th, when it does trine Saturn as well. But also another thing I was going to say, when it does trine Saturn, we have to also watch out for, you know, going too crazy when it comes to like authority and power. Okay, so yes, it will really benefit, like it really will benefit like the air signs, Gemini and Libra, you know, does really well in that. It'll be easier for you guys. It'll be easier for Aries, Cancer as well, because it's next door to Cancer. But with Cancer, it will be mostly, but I'll talk about it anyway. But yeah, it'll benefit like Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. You know, it's about healing. With Aquarius, it will very benefit as well. The fire signs in general will definitely benefit from it, but obviously with Sagittarius, it's going to be opposing. So yes, that's like my sort of like 2 cents worth. I feel like I've been a bit all over the place when I spoke about this, but I'll get to the signs. But before I get to the signs, the cards, as you can see in the front, that we are dealing with this is, I'll say like the Tower card, because it is ruled by Mars, and also the Lovers card. We cannot forget the Lovers card, guys. So whenever we see like the Tower card, you know, it can be, it's about chaos, destruction, trauma. It's about violence, tragedy, and it's, you know, regardless if it's up or down, you know, upheaval or down, it brings like sort of like the same energy. So when it does go into, now we've got this Mars, and also with the Lovers card, which actually we are in the Lovers cards this year. you know, because the number 6 here, and the Lovers Gemini card, because you can say it's, I'll say the Lovers card, but you can say it is also the, what's the other card I was thinking of? Yeah, let's just go for the Lovers card. Yeah, you can say the Magician. Okay. But yeah, the Lovers card is very much about, you know, choices, about lovers. It's also to do with soulmates, kindred spirits, romance, desires. And when you combine these two energies together, with the Tower, with the Lovers, these two are major arcana cards. There are things that we are going to be sensing and seeing which can cause an upheaval, and it can definitely be to do with our relationships. It can definitely be to do with what we are saying, because I feel with this happening, especially with these cards messages, is like what we're going to be saying, it can change the course of actions, it can change the course of things to come. What comes up will always come down, and I know that USA are going through their Mars return. So there's a lot going to be happening in the USA. I don't really listen too much to what's happening. No, I don't listen too much, but there's so much happening in London, in England, that, you know, I think it's really great to be dipping into all types of media throughout the world. But I do know that I do take note of what's going on in America, especially astro-wise, and they're going through their Mars return, also going through their Pluto return. There's a lot going on in America as it is in the UK, because, you know, they are very they are joined at the hip, even though they don't like to admit it. They are Capricorn and Cancer. They are married, but they're actually separated at the moment, that, you know, so all that's happening. But yeah, so with these tarot cards, you know, they are showing that there are, some of us are going to be having to make choices in our lives for the next 7 months until March. And there are going to be there's definitely going to be some chaos, like confusion. There can be confusion in our relationships, confusion in what we're saying. We could also forget things. You know, we can also mean well. There can also be a lot, because Mars is involved. There can be a lot of like intense attractions to people and things, and also even how we're speaking, a lot of intense interactions. But again, because we're talking about Gemini, there can be some mental confusion in what we want, what we're saying. You know, what we're saying and our actions are going to be completely different. So it's no wonder we have to go back to the drawing board. Okay. And I feel that definitely there'll be, you know, there can be a lot of support that we can all gain if we're looking in the right place, because we can be drawn into two different things. We can do too much things at the same time and burn ourselves out. So when the Tower card is alive and kicking, which it is here, it's showing that, you know, what's going to come up is going to come down if we don't take heed in the messages that are going on within us. Okay, so these cards are showing us there's a lot that's going to be going on personally, worldly. You know, we're going to see a lot of changes within the whole social dynamism of what's going on in the world. And, you know, it also does feel that, you know, when things do crash, there's things that are going to be built up again. There can be also a start of new things that are going to be coming freshly across when it comes to how we're interacting and how things are in the media. These two cards are very powerful cards. Whenever we see major arcana cards, they're showing a powerful message. They are the eclipse cards, I will say. So yeah, that's the messages for this. So what can we do during this Mars in retrograde in Gemini? Because we're going to feel very lively. You know, I feel regardless whether it hits, what can we, you know, what things can be, obviously I've spoken about, you know, because I forgot to say that Gemini, what does Gemini rule? It rules like the lungs, the arms, the hands, shoulders as well. Whenever, you know what, whenever something happens in Gemini, I always feel it in my shoulders. I don't know about you guys. I always feel it in my shoulders. So these points might feel quite sore. It really does depend. I think it's my own fault because I don't really, cover up my shoulders well. But yes, those are like the things that Gemini's rule. Obviously, it's a general, guys. But obviously, you know me, guys. I love my essential oils. Okay, and again, disclaimer: check with your doctor, guys. Check with your doctor, health practitioner, anyone that looks after you before you start even using essential oils. Okay, so the ones that I'm personally will use, is especially because the weather has changed. Um, like lavender, lavender for me is king, even though it actually is frankincense. Lavender, eucalyptus as well. That actually helps like open up the whole airwaves and everything. Um, I tend to use bergamot at night. You can use basil as well. Anything that's quite uplifting, like lemon, tangerine, grapefruit. Ginger's really good because this really helps with like the quick mind. It also, yeah, it helps with like quick mind. I love geranium, which helps smooth your soul. Neroli, um, because Mars is very much a sexual planet. So jasmine's really great. So is ylang ylang. So those are essential oils that I'm gonna be reaching for on a daily basis. But for me, lavender is always key. I use lavender every single day, morning, noon, and night. So these are my guides of essential oils that you can use. Again, check with your practitioner before you start to use any of these. And we can feel, because it can be, again, I've said it before, we can feel quite hard to ground ourselves, um because we're going to be, a lot of us are going to be so busy, even if it's hitting us a part of your chart that is very quiet, it can still feel very hard to ground. So doing anything, because some of you may find that you're doing two things at the same time, even though you're having downtime. Might be working out and listening to something, might be cooking and also writing. Mars and Gemini is really great at that. So know that, our minds could be actively busy, but also we have to also remember to listen to having rest in our minds, because the mind is very powerful. It's activated at the moment. When it goes into Cancer, it's going to be very different. We're going to feel very emotionally and, all of that. So whenever it activates parts of our body, this is to do with the mind. So we're going to have to really find that time to really calm down what's going on, and not, because we're going to very much be easily distracted when it goes retrograde. So yes, that's like my thoughts on this retrograde. Let's go to the signs. For Aries, this retrograde is going into your third house, and you're ruled by Mars anyway. So you're going to be on fire in communication, on fire. One of the things a lot of you Aries may have to be mindful of is that you're not trying, well, it's not that you're not gonna, there can be some drama and arguments that happen, and it can be to do with siblings. It can also be to do with your neighbors as well. You guys are going to be very actively busy with, like, whether it's signing contracts. When it goes retrograde, there may be you signing contracts, signing documents, signing over a lease of your home, moving home as well, communicating a lot more. If there is anything that needs to be cleared, this will be a great time to be clearing it. But again, Aries, it's about listening to other people's points of view and not just your own. You Aries can actually feel very Gemini as well. A lot of you can actually feel very Gemini as well. And yeah, you actually, a lot of you can actually come across as very Gemini. So yeah, I do feel there's a lot of things that you may have to write and sign. if you guys have wanted to like relearn anything, like learn a new language, learn a new course, um, get back into writing your thoughts. Writing your thoughts will be great as well. This will really be the time to do it. And you know, there can be a major come down for a lot of you Aries, especially if you're not taking heed of what is not being said. So lots of deep breaths, Aries. Breath work will be great for you. Lots of breathing, and yeah, you finding a way to like meditate, finding a way to like having downtime for yourself as well, especially when we're going through like because we're actually working with the tarot of the Tower and the Lovers card. So, you know, you guys will also, I feel, will feel very passionate in your relationships. Any one of you, if you, any of you are single, there could be some confusion about, you know, dating. You could be dating too many people. A lot of confusion coming on, Aries. So, and because you're ruled by Mars as well, which is the Tower card, you know, things can really come to a head. And some of you may feel also very defensive as well. But this time is like going back to the drawing board, listen to what is said. Um, you know, I feel that being busy, you're going to be in your element. But again, you need to listen to your body as well, because you guys, if you start anything or rush into anything like a new workout regime, you know, muscles can be sore. Yeah, you don't want to be injuring yourself now, Aries. So just take heed and take care. Taurus, this is in your second house. Okay, so you guys, with this retrograde being in your second house, you know, you guys may be doing some certain things behind the scenes, conjuring up like sort of like a wizardry type of things going on. You can get a lot of downloads now, Taurus. So if you want to like invest in any stock shares, any of those things, because you're ruled by the second house, you can get a lot of downloads now, a lot of magical downloads. I feel a lot of you are working on certain projects, secret projects, things you don't want to tell anyone, behind the scenes, definitely. But you know, because this is your house, you may also feel in your element as well. If something going with like the tarot cards, with the Tower and the Lovers card, you Tauruses may see that, you know, if something's not working, it will quickly dissolve, which can actually shock you. If you've invested in anything, if you've like paid for anything, and it's not working, it can really dissolve. And there's a lot of choices I feel a lot of you will be having to make, a lot of decisions as well. You guys can also see that, you know, there can be some people that actually come to your aid. And some of these people, you may not even think that they sort of like understand you as well. But, you know, remember the nodes are in your sign, Taurus. The nodes are in your sign. We have, you know, the eclipses. We're in eclipse season as well. So you guys, I feel, will get a lot of support as well. As long as you're not rushing into making any decisions. Another good thing about this for you, Taurus, is that, you know, you guys can make really good, quite good investments as well. And starting up new business projects will be very flavorable for you. But, you know, again, reading like the small print, not rushing into anything, which you guys don't do anyway. But, you know, Mars rules your 12th, so this will give you a good like this will give you a good instincts emotionally, but also spiritually as well. Gemini, this is in your first house. Okay, so this is going to be a time where, you know, you guys are in the hot seat, a big hot seat. And you know, you got eclipse that's in your 12th house. So, you know, you guys may be sort of feeling very sensitive during this Mars retrograde. But, you know, it's not going to be a bad thing, because this will give you a chance to really listen to your instincts. Think before what you say. If you feel you're going to go to the dark side of Gemini, you know, your instinct will say, you know, no, don't do it, because this is what could happen. This is what could happen. And again, there's going to be some stuff that crashes and burns around you, because with eclipses being in your 12th and with Mars being in your sign, especially retrograde now, there's going to be a lot of dissolvement of things that you thought you needed, and you no longer are going to see that's not going to be needed. This could be you doing it by a whim, or it's going to be happening regardless, especially if you try to control like the outcome. But again, there can be some stability as long as you listen to what's going on within. And you know, Mars also rules your 11th house, so you can get a lot of gains. I feel that some of you actually may also, you know, start seeing friends from the past. There could be friends from the past that come to your aid if you feel stuck in any project, or if you feel that you need inspiration. Okay, they can come very quickly. And also with the Lovers card, which you're ruled by, you know, things can happen. There could be two things that come at once for you, but you know, you may be pushing headstrong into it. So I feel that especially with the eclipse in your 12th house, this is going to give you that sort of like guided voice or guided spirit that you're going to be needing. When you know, it's going to be very hard for you to have that downtime. So when you do get that 5 minutes, Gemini, you know, again, take lots of deep breaths. You know, some of you could also start like a workout regime. You might be doing 2 workout regimes. Again, I feel like with Aries, try not to push yourself, because this can lead to physical and emotional burnout. So take your time. But again, you guys are going to be very busy. Also a bit like Aries, you guys have to be very mindful of what you say, because it can be quite cold and cutting. So, you know, or you yourself, even if you don't think it, you could be initiating arguments, or people could be initiating arguments with you. So, you know, you're an intelligent sign, so just have that thinking cap on. And also with that emotional senses that is happening with you as well, this will ease you out of any sticky situations that you may come across. Cancer. So this is in your 12th house, okay? But for you, Cancer, this retrograde in your 12th house is about you going back to the drawing board, doing something spiritual. I find with a lot of you Cancers, because the 12th house is never an easy house. It's a Piscean house. It's like your sister house. But there can be, a lot of you can think things that are not actually real. And there could be, you know, really be mindful of your dreams, because they could be quite violent. There might be things that a lot of you want to say during this retrograde that you are not confident in saying it, so it might come across in your dreams. This also will be a great time to be, because I'm, you know, I feel with this is great to having, like, you know, before you like go to sleep, doing some type of like meditation or prayer, or going back to the drawing board and doing it. Because the 12th house is about undoing, this is about releasing, it's about hidden fears. But you guys also can actually feel very psychic, because Mars also rules your 10th house. So there could be some fears, or even like a release when it comes to like your career. You could be thinking that, you know, you may be doing a great job, but then you could be thinking that people may not think you're good enough. So like insecurities can definitely come up. And, you know, you could think that, you know, I'm just going to leave because they're not appreciating me. But that just could be like an insecurity that's coming across. Sometimes Cancers, when people are not saying anything, or they're putting you in like another department, it's not necessarily to do with that you're not good. They just probably need you there because, you know, there's not enough staff, for instance, or there's just not enough, they need help with the workload type of thing. And even sometimes they don't thank you, they actually appreciate you being there. Sometimes people are very selfish, cancers, as you know. They don't actually say they need help, they just, you know what I'm talking about. So some of you may leave your job, some of you may decide that you want to leave because you're not appreciated. I feel if that happens, you will be missed. You definitely will be missed, cancers. And people may try to actually persuade you to stay. And I'm going off on one. But this is what I actually feel for a lot of you, cancers. But, you know, if you're doing a spiritual practice, especially if something at work is quite hard, a spiritual practice will really help ground you, prepare you for the day, or even going back to one. This is great to be doing something that is very creative as well, that can help smooth you, because you can actually feel quite anxious during this retrograde. And, you know, you could also be doing things on a whim, like you could have a lot of pent up energy and just want to lash out, but then you have to really think before what you say. Again, with the Lovers card, it's about choices you're going to make. So some of you could be offered jobs, some of you may want to leave, or some of you may be confused about where your career lies, you know. So I feel that once you either restart your spiritual practice or continue it, this will give you the answers that you need. Leo, this is in your 11th house. You know, Mars also rules your 9th house. So this is really great for a lot of you Leos. There could be friends that actually come back from the past for a lot of you. But it may not, it may or may not be a good thing. They may come back and it could be drama that started. There could be, you know, because this is showing you this is the reason why there's certain people that's not in your life, you know. But also, if some people do come back in your past, this is a great time to be easing any stress and tension that you had, you know, or coming together and just talking. You know, I feel that some of you can definitely learn a lot about, you know, friendships, but also you could be relearning a project. You could be relearning or revisiting an old dream that you put at the back burner, because, you know, your career is very much highlighted, what's going on too. I feel this is a great one for you Leos. Great one for you Leos. But there can be friends that actually come. I said friends come back, but you could be making new friends. You could be, you know, quickly joining like a new group, organization, protests, all the humanitarian things. There could be younger or older people that you're surrounding yourself with. This can come very quickly. So if anything's dissolved in a friendship, you could actually, something new can definitely come in. And also, you know, if you are, I feel that reading books or reading something spiritual can actually help you. This can actually raise your vibrations. It could also make you sort of like think outside the box in what is actually missing from your life. So I feel really go for it, Leos. Very much an exciting time. And yeah, really go for it. But, you know, like again, I said, some things, you know, if people do come back, it is to do with, you know, easing any stress and tensions out. But especially when it comes to like your goals and your aims, this is a great time. Virgo, this Mars retrograde, you're going to really feel like a lot of all the mutables. This is in your 10th house. So yes, there can be some clashes with bosses and higher ups, but also you may be going back to the drawing board in terms of what you want for your career. There could be a lot of dissolvements. There could be a lot of sudden exits, endings, but also new beginnings. Definitely new beginnings. You could be getting lots of choices as well. There could be an old boss or an old employer that comes back and asks, oh, would you like to work for us? And, you know, would you like to? And also an offer of more money, because Mars rules your 8th. You know, they could be offering you or re-offering you like a pay rise. And, you know, if you work for yourself as well, This is great to be looking at looking at any taxes. You could get a tax rebate, or you like changing up your tax code. But also this is about fears, so you could be feeling quite insecure in your job. That's why there's gonna be a lot of changes within your job. But I do see a lot with a lot of Virgos that there can be people that, or bosses coming back and asking you to come back, or even like a pay rise. And if there is any tension, which I doubt that there won't, if there's any tension in your job, it's the time to sit down one to one, going over old ground. Because sometimes Virgos bosses could be insecure because they may not think they're great at their job. They may think that you are better than them, and that actually may come out. So, but yeah, again, I do feel that there can be you like dissolving something to do with your career and something brand new coming back in, and you really taking stuff extra seriously and working through any fears that you have, especially if you feel that you're not appreciated in your job. A little bit like Cancer, this is a great time to be working through those fears, paying off any debts, loans, taxes as well. Some of you also may decide you want a pay rise as well. You may want a pay rise because your outgoings, what you're earning is not representing what type of job you're doing, is not really representing what you're earning. So yeah, you guys may be doing that, but it's a very busy time for a lot of you Virgos. And yeah, it's actually really great if bosses come back to you at this time. Libra, this is in your 9th house. Okay, and this is a time that you're going to be learning, Libra. A time of learning something, high learning. Your belief systems definitely will change. If any of you Librans are very active on social media, I feel that some of you actually will see through the bullshit, because Mars also rules your 7th house. And if you're working with people who are telling you this and telling you that, you're going to actually see, this is not actually right. This is not balanced. This is not fair, So you may be driven or guided to like write a piece, a hit piece in some shape or form. Some of you, if you are writers or anything, do anything to do with like the law, you may be bringing some work out. So you may be like revising. Any of you who are students, you may be lots doing like going over like revision work. This is great for you to be also working with people who are, from different cultures and creeds. You could learn a lot from them. They in turn can learn a lot from you. But yeah, it feels that some things can actually feel quite sudden. So once you make a decision and choice on anything, you're going to really go for it. Definitely go for it. Like your belief system, you're going to be, certain thing that you believe is going to be banished very quickly, and you're going to think, I need like peace in my life, so this is what I'm going to go for. This is what I'm going to study. This is who I want to mentor me. This is who, you might be studying something to do with like the law as well, because you all are all about balance and seeking justice. I feel that some of you definitely will see behind the bullshit of a lot of stuff that's written online, or what you've actually previously believed in as well. Any of you Librans who are single, there can be exes coming back, old belief systems, to be revised, but also there could be mentors that come back as well. There could also be you actually finding the courage to ask that person who lives all the way in Venezuela, for instance, And also this is great to be studying like a new language. It could be Spanish, it could be Cantonese, it could be any of these. But, it's a great time for you, Libra, especially if there's certain things that you thought was great and it's no longer great now, okay? Because belief system is always good. Another thing, any of you Libras who are not spiritual, you may start getting very spiritual now. Scorpio, so this Mars retrograde is in your 8th house, which is actually your house. And you, like Taurus, may definitely feel at home. You know, you probably want to cocoon yourself. I'm picking up some of you Scorpions might be arguing with money that is owed to you. There could be arguments with partner. There could be money that actually comes to you as well, which is always good. As I got many favorites. One of my favorite words. Money could definitely come to you. There could be you revising your bill. There could be something to do with like taxes, debts and loans, inheritances, and fears. But you, I feel, are going to be transformed during this time. I mean, if there is drama that comes up, Scorpios, it's probably, obviously, I feel it's to do with like controlling a situation. These things can come very, very quickly, especially with these tarot cards as well. You know, you could be having to be making a choice in, you know, spending, but also in borrowing and saving, and also lending. You know, there could be, I feel there's a lot of choices that are going to be covered. Once you make that decision, it's going to stick. Even if people are not happy with your decision, it's going to, whether it's your partner, whether it's people that you owe money to, or it's going to stick. You're not going to budge. And Mars, you're also traditionally ruled by Mars. So you're going to probably feel in your power, especially power of control. There can be some manipulation going. Again, you could also see that people from your, there could be hidden themes and fears that come up from your past that can be coming up. Also, it could be a partner as well, someone that you used to, that you had an intense relationship with, or even intense friendship with. They can come back, but it's for you to like revise it and to look at it differently, and especially to do it on a deep psychological level. Okay, and this is a time that a lot of you may be guided to feel really structured when it comes to like your finances, and structured when it comes to things that are going on in your mind as well, keeping things but also banishing things. A very deep, intense time for a lot of you Scorpios. Sagittarius, so this is going to be in your 7th house, and I feel a lot of you probably are feeling it anyway. With this retrograde being in your 7th, this is going to bring up issues or even beginnings within your relationship. Issues in, it could be control, it could be you wanting freedom, your partner wanting freedom. And even with Mars ruling your 5th, this can show where you guys are having or even lacking fun. Even with these two cards, with the Tower and the Lovers is definitely for you, because it's a relationship. It's also about choices. And with the Tower, it's showing where things can change in an instant. It's also showing where there's energies of drama, chaos, destruction. So all of this could happen. And sometimes when we have destruction in our relationship, Saggies, it's not to say that it's because it's you're going to break, or it's just not working. Sometimes it's just tension that just needs to come out and spill out. So some of that energy could really be coming, which you may or may not like. Some of you Sagittarius may like a bit of a fight, just to bring that, you know, that sexual passion happening. There could be a lot of passion happening as well. There could also be trouble in terms of like exes coming back. Yes, that's one of the themes I can think of. One of the biggest themes actually, that exes are coming back. And some of you may go there, some of you may not. Some of you may think, you know what, I had fun. I had a lot of fun with my ex, but you know what, I really love my partner. So why can't I just implement that fun with my partner as well? 7th house is also to do with contracts. So there could be you re-signing contracts, looking at contracts, looking at who you're working with, looking at who is hindering you in any way as well, hindering your sense of fun. This is a great time to be trying to have a bit of fun, Saggies. It's not about not taking things seriously, but having fun in your life, being creative, being creative with your partner. You know, your partner could be showing you where something is definitely lacking. And if you guys have children as well, they also can show you where things are lacking too. Speaking of children, some of you may be quite childlike as well, or revisiting your childhood dreams. And again, this can give you choices, but choices are not bad. Choices are like, do I want to do this or do I want to do that? Or should I actually do it? It's time to really get your creative groove on as well, but also in a partnership. Some of you Saggies can find as well during this retrograde that two heads are better than one if you're trying to get a project off the ground. So this is actually a really great thing. With the Mars square Saturn, with the Mars squaring Neptune, this can show where there's some delusion or illusion within your personal or even business relationships. This can show actual dissolvement as well, because this energy is quite cloudy. This energy is quite harsh as well. So if there is any dissolvement in any of these themes, that's when you may just hit the ground running. It's the time to really open up your eyes, and with Saturn trining it, this will give it a longer lasting feel of where you need to pursue, whether with your relationship or with something very creative. Capricorns, this is in your 6th house. So you are going to be revisiting your routines, daily routines, getting quite serious as well. I'm picking up some of you getting quite serious. Remember, this is a general, guys. Getting very serious within your daily routines. Really, not working hard, but working smart. Really taking care of your health, your physical and mental health. Knowing when to stop and knowing when to start. You could also feel very, very busy, Capricorns, because there may be a lot on. And I feel that if you do get overwhelmed with the whole theme, because the 6th house is to do with work and it's also to do with our colleagues, if that gets extremely busy, it's time to take a stop and think about if it's hindering you in any way when it comes to your energy levels, because your energy levels could be very bouncy. I can see some anxiety happening as well. You may think that you are not good enough in your job, like you may be putting a lot of work in and then you're not getting the fruits of your hard labor. So again, I feel this is the time to really look at your job and see if it's worth it, because sometimes things are not worth it. And with all the signs they're dealing with, these 2 tarot cards, they are playing a huge role in things that come crashing down. And I feel with you, if you're not, if it's about, really taking care of yourself, because, things can come up. Things can really come up that you may not want to deal with, and you'll be forced to deal with, whether you're overworked, burnt out, injured in any way. It's like time to really take it seriously and not push yourself in working out even though you're injured, not pushing yourself even though you're very tired, trying to get those 8 hours sleep. This is great to be trying. I'm not saying you have to. I say try to have like a wind down routine before you go to bed. You know, because you know your mind could be buzzing with what needs to be done. It could be overload as well. So just taking a look at that, because this retrograde Capricorn is going to slow down. It's going to keep you busy, I feel, but it's also going to make you take a step back and think, wow, I did all of this in a day and I haven't even had my lunch. I did all of this in a day and I haven't even, you know, I think you know the gist of it, Capricorns. So yeah, a brand new, I feel that some of you are going to be revisiting a brand new routine, revisiting your job. Some of you may be deciding to cut down your hours as well. Okay. And, you know, the sun trines Saturn, you know, Saturn's in your second. You are ruled by Saturn. So you guys are going to be really, you know, sort of dedicated and very serious in obviously earning money, but knowing that money is not the be all and end all in a very strange way. Yes, there can be some confusion with like the mind, body, and spirit, but I feel that this is going to be saying a lot of things very louder this time. Aquarius, so this is in your Mars retrograde is in your fifth, and this is going to, you know, it's a fun house. This is a very fun house. And you know, you as well, because this is going to be really benefiting air signs. You're going to be a time of revisiting fun, revisiting creativity, revisiting getting, you know, if you have children, revisiting taking your children out. You may have promised, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that with you. I'll take you out to the, you know, the park, I'll take you out to the cinema, and you haven't done it. Now will be the time to be doing it. Now be also the time for you to, you know, let loose, have a bit more fun, because, you know, Saturn being in your sign is making you very serious. It's making you, you know, take your goals seriously, take everything seriously, taking care of yourself seriously, how you're dressing, and you know, everything within the first house. And when Mars trines this as well on November, this is going to be you putting like your plans to action. If you've wanted to do something creative or revisiting a creative project, this is the time to do it. Being around people that are very creative as well, because, you know, as you know, Aquarius, you're a sign that likes to be around others, sharing ideas with others. Some of these people could actually be quite young. It could be your children. It could also be your, you know, join like a new group or organization. And, you know, fifth house is about gambling. So, you know, you could, obviously, if you gamble, you could win money, or, you know, you could be investing in a group project that is very, very creative, very fun. Again, children, your own. You could be thinking of children as well. There could be a lot more writing, a lot more, you know, anything to do that. Your communication is going to be very high. You know, I feel that you also may need to take a little bit of a break from time to time, because there's a lot of high energy. But I feel that some of you may actually like that as well, especially Saturn being in your first. And last but not least, we have Pisces. So Pisces, this is in your fourth house. So there's revisiting things connecting to the home. I feel some of you may actually get good news. You know, obviously when it squares, you know, Neptune, it can feel very, you know, there can be some anxiety, there can be some hypochondriac behavior. You may think that there's something wrong within your home. It's actually not. I feel that any fears that you could have, Pisces, it actually could just be great. Like, you may have emailed someone about your home and you haven't heard anything, and you can get some good news back. You know, you could be getting, I don't know, how can I put this? You could be getting people to, you know, rebuild your bathroom, rebuild your kitchen, or you could be, you know, if you've paid out too much rent, for instance, you could be getting a rebate. This is just like in my mind, but some of these things could actually happen. This is the time to revisit things that need fixing in the home. You could be moving or even thinking, redecorating, cooking more, you know, revisiting old things that you used to, you know, like old recipes. I feel a lot of you could be cooking more and revisiting recipes, really taking care of yourself, spending a lot more, spending some money as well within your home, because Mars rules your second. You could be quite lavish if you're very lucky to be. But yeah, I feel that a lot of you are going to be investing more in home and in family. There can be some drama with family, with siblings. There can be and it also but within the home, like family in general, like your partner or even like your children. But this also can be resolved as well. Some of you may not feel that you're being heard properly. You know, what you're saying and what you're doing might be, you know, with that Neptune square, it can be very, you know, everything could be lost in translation. So having time alone would definitely help you. With the sun, it trines Saturn. This actually gives you really good intuition. Like, you know what is wrong, what needs to be fixed, who you need to talk to as well if you need any help. It can make you feel it can make some of you Pisces feel very lonely as well. But this is great to be connecting to doing something very spiritual during this time, because, you know, home life can be very busy now, Pisces, and you guys may feel you need to get out a lot. You know, some of you may want to be at home a lot more, but some of you may need to get out a lot as well. I feel that money-wise, it's really great to reinvest in your home, getting new decorations and furniture, and, you know, anything that needs to be sorted out, whether it's through, like what I said before, this can definitely be sorted out now. But once again, even though there's great things, it can be some drama. But I think for all the signs, anything that comes up, it will be resolved. And it can be resolved very quickly, especially these tarot cards with the Mars, you know, the Tower and the Lovers. Everyone's going to have choices. Everyone's going to have dissolvements. Everyone's going to be having drama, but also things also can move very quickly. Okay. So Pisces, that was yours and all the signs. Thank you very much, guys, for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And also follow me on Twitter, my Instagram. Also, let me know how it's, you know, this Mars retrograde has gone for you. Remember, it does last until January next year. So, you know, feel free to come back to, you know, to get like a little reminder of what can happen. And once again, guys, remember, this is a general. It's very important to, you know, look where Mars is. Mars in your sign as well. Look where Gemini is. Or even as well, look where all the mutable placements are, because these definitely will be activated in your personal natal house chart. And yes, thank you guys very much for listening, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye.